Hello and welcome to the reflective activity for evaluating quality in technology-enabled educational environment. My name is Stacy Tewas, and today we're going to be looking at the Gibbs reflective cycle. So, I found this course to be invaluable. In addition to identifying the needs for sufficient and reliable evidence, the course emphasizes the importance of evaluations, providing information useful for decision making. So, a high quality evaluation helps agencies and stakeholders identify successful programs to expand or pitfalls to avoid. And so by taking this course, my idea of evaluating quality in technology-enabled environments, at first it was limited. And I participated in end-of-year instructor evaluations in college. I've been a part of the evaluation process in my workplace, but I found the process to be both bureaucratic and somewhat of a popularity contest. So for example, there was a website called Rate My Professor where students warned each other about which courses to take or not based on the professor who was teaching the class. So evaluations can be effective or ineffective. And this contributed to my misconceptions and other misconceptions I had to overcome by this program and this course is that program evaluators avoid the type of evaluation that can reveal gaps in their program. So the institution where I work is private and funded by the students, and so the evaluations are kept very confidential, not openly shared with the faculty and staff, only small committee, because in the school public relations is a very key component of the institution. But, of course, as we learned in this course, failure is feedback, and one of my favorite evaluation quotes is by Michael Quinn Patton, and he said, "Research seeks to prove, evaluation seeks to improve." And this fundamental difference elevates the true purpose of a program evaluation, to help your team get better at advancing its objectives. Another quote that I really enjoyed is from Gibbs himself. "It's not sufficient simply to have an experience in order to learn. Without reflecting upon this experience, it may quickly be forgotten or its learning potential lost. It is from the feeling and thoughts emerging from this reflection that generalizations or concepts can be generated, and it's generalizations that allow new situations to be tackled effectively." So, Gibbs reflective cycle, and it developed by Graham Gibbs in 1988 to give structure to learning from experiences, and it offers a framework for examining experiences, and given its cyclic nature, lends itself particularly well to repeated experiences, allowing you to learn and plan from things that either went well or didn't go well. And it covers 6 stages: the description of the experience, feelings and thoughts about the experience, evaluation of the experience, both good and bad, analysis to make sense of the situation, conclusion about what you learned and what you could have done differently, action plan for how you would deal with similar situations in the future, or general changes that you might find. And my experience for having these kinds of reflective activities incorporated into the EDD TLET program here at UWI. Now we've recently started to incorporate reflective activities at the end of the course, and it gives students an opportunity to really digest the information, to process the takeaways that leave a lasting impression, to make connections. Even, this semester we're also coincidentally taking the quantitative methodologies course, and I can see where this course overlaps with other courses within our program, and this is what it looks like, this cyclical process. And, in the aftermath of COVID-19, the topic of evaluation has become ever more important to determine the effectiveness of institutional changes regarding online learning. Evaluation results, such as by using Gibbs reflective cycle, helps to improve programs and determine which ones should be maintained, changed, or closed. And without well-designed and rigorous evaluations, how can we make claims about the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of a program without this evidence, right? So without the evaluation, we have no idea whether your e-learning program really works. And this one, well, there are several reflective theories, but this one I like, and I'm grateful that we were given this one for this assignment, because it's cyclical, right? And cyclical and replicable. So we know that online education is expanding rapidly, and so increasing numbers of providers offering services and students participating. And so these online learning initiatives have to be held accountable for their results. So it's crucial for students and other stakeholders, administrators, policy makers, etc., to have evidence-based data informing them and the student outcomes, right? So here we are. So most interesting topics we did in this course, I liked the quality assurance and best practices in the Caribbean, quality assurance framework, standards and methodologies in technology-enabled environments, design of evaluation framework, analysis of evaluation and results. So this is a really good course. And you can apply the reflective activities, right? And the reflective activities provide a description of the experience, feelings and thoughts about the experience, evaluation of the experience, both good and bad, analysis to make sense of the situation, a conclusion about what you learned and what you could have done differently, an action plan for how you would deal with similar situations in the future, or general changes that you might find appropriate. So, this model in each stage, we have a fuller description, and I'm showing you next the guiding questions that you may ask yourself when you are conducting this kind of process. And of course, there are different depths of reflection. And so, like I mentioned, this is just one model, and you could see if it works for you. And these questions just serve as a guide. Of course, different dynamics will have different kinds of questions, etc., right? So, okay. This is the first one. Here we have a description. And this one, you have a chance to describe the situation in detail. The main points to include here concern what happened, and your feelings and conclusions will come later. So, some guiding questions. What happened? When and where did it happen? Who was present? What did you and the other people do? What was the outcome of the situation? Why were you there? What did you want to happen? Right? Etc. So, of course, we are taking, in this course, we have written assessments, we have collaborative assessments, we work both individually and in groups. So there involved a lot of research. In the collaborative activities, we divided the sections between us so that we only had to research one element, that we could piece the assignment together rather quickly. However, given the nature of all the people who were working, we had to really be strategic about our meeting times and when we can schedule time to sit together and work on it. Everybody has their own different writing styles, so we had to assign an editor. We had to try to make our work coherent, and even though we had a strategy of only choosing one person to present rather than everyone, for the same reason, is to try to make it sound like one voice, like sound coherent. And so we had another person who edited everything, and this is for our um, collaborative activity. For our individual activities, yeah, it involved a lot of individual research, and even we were discussing the same topics and the same models. Everybody had a different perspective. The collaboration, the forums, um, and we have so many different ways of present. And I had one instructor one time, and made it. She's like, okay, well, we'll leave it open. You can do a audio or video or presentation, like within the forums, but then try to have something other than our general way of doing forums. And I thought that was creative, could be implemented in other TLET courses, right? Okay, feelings. What were you feeling during the situation? Were you feeling before and after? What do you think other people were feeling about the situation? What do you think other people feel about the situation now? What were you thinking during the situation? And what do you think about the situation now? So this is where we explore any feelings or thoughts you had during our course and experience, and then how they impacted the experience. So one thing that I really appreciated was that in our live sessions that it was more Socratic, like a conversational, and we were encouraged to participate. Our instructor used several online tools to try to. He was very personable and trying to equate on our level. Like, I don't feel like the instructor was talking over us, and so we were able to express ourselves more. It's very engaging. So I really appreciated that, right? I tend to not really like group work, and so I have my own biases. Luckily, I was in the Andrew was in my group for previous courses, and we worked really well together. And so usually I'm very frustrated. In this particular class with group work, I was not frustrated. And so the writing part, yeah, like that final assessment, the lab activity with the guy, that one, without a benchmark, it's really hard to get an idea of what the end product would look like. So that was a little bit stressful. Looking back, I feel satisfied that we put in the work, but the pacing, there was a lot going on this semester, and it was a little tricky. So the next one is evaluation. So in this section, I have a chance to evaluate what worked and what didn't work, and to be objective and honest about it, to get the most out of this reflection, to focus on the positive and negative aspects of the situation, even if it was primarily one or the other. So the guiding questions, what was good and what was bad about the experience? What went well? What didn't go so well? What did you and other people contribute to the situation? Maybe even, okay, yes, so yes, I enjoyed this class. Overall, I found it very enlightening. I know this semester the pacing was off in the classes that I teach as well. We had a hurricane followed by a flash flood. There was a lot going on. And so the extra time we were given in this course, I really appreciated it. Let's see. So we had primarily in our instruction, we had PowerPoint, but I would have liked to see like a example of maybe even like a YouTube video of somebody carrying out an an evaluation, because I tend to be somebody who likes demonstrations. So I wouldn't say that was what went bad, but maybe we would just call it a suggestion, right? Okay. Next section is analysis. The analysis step is where I get a chance to make sense of what happened. Up until now, I focused on the details around what happened in the situation. Now it's to try to extract meaning, right? So to target aspects of what went well or poorly, and then why, right? Why? Okay. So why did things go well? Why didn't it go well? What sense can I make of the situation? What knowledge, my own or others, for example, academic literature, can help me understand the situation, right? So, yes, I was reading through the modules. I was reading through the modules and trying to connect the dots with the information that was presented. And I've had classes where there was direct tie-ins with the course literature. That it was a little tricky to, because of course the methods of evaluation and the theories have evolved over the years, and they're very situational. So, like, even if someone asked me how to carry out an evaluation, I would be like, you know what, it depends. Like, you can't really be sure unless you get all the information. So a topic like this is very difficult to generalize, I believe, right? And so perhaps like a guide that says, in this situation you would use this, in this other situation you would use that. Like, we had the forum to try to determine what was appropriate, and without actually giving us what was the best theory, but without actually giving like a situation to say what was the best theory for a specific situation. Like, it would make it a little bit more clear, I think. Yeah. Checking the time, I'm getting a little close to the time. Okay, let's go. Conclusion. So this is where I make sense of the conclusions, summarize our learning, and highlight the changes to my actions to improve outcomes in the future. Well, I'm definitely having one of these. I've actually started as of last semester, given the example of our courses here in the TLET program, to have this reflective activity at the end of all my courses, and I found it very enlightening. Okay, so what did I learn from the situation? How could this have been a more positive situation for everyone involved? What skills do I need to develop for me to handle a situation like this better? What else could I have done? Okay, so it's a little strange, this program, because how do I put this? So at UWI, the British education system, it tends to be like a somewhat I would say, like, okay, there's difficulty and then there's academic rigor, and sometimes they're two different things. And sometimes, like, really, to be honest and just to be like very blunt, I find that some courses are made hard, like for the sake of being hard. You can have academic rigor without actually like fishing to take away points from students and like talking over the students. But oh my gosh, this course was a breath of fresh air, because like the instructor was engaging and he wasn't trying to talk over us, and like he was actually trying to give us opportunities to improve or to actually like be creative and yes. So it's hard in a program like TLET where they're telling you to be creative, but yet you know that you're so afraid to step out of the box because you know that there's somebody just picking at the points, right? Okay, I know I should be more formal in giving this kind of presentation, but yeah. Okay, so action plan. If I had to do the same thing again, what would I do differently? How will I develop the required skills I need, and how can I make sure that I can um, act differently next time, right? So this is a step to well, here it's extremely helpful to think about how to act differently, such as that you don't have to only plan what you'll do differently, but also make sure it happens, right? So so my issues were with the group work. So I'm really kind of getting used to being in, because I tend to like, really, I'm a loner. So I don't do well in group work, but I did well in this one. But I want to learn from some of the things that made this group work happen well, and try to replicate it for the future. So talking about in the initial meeting that you have with your group, what the strengths you have. If you don't know each other well, we try to learn a bit, try to get some positive synergy going, right? And also be strategic in the way that the work is divided. I actually started using these project tools that give you an app, and it has a Gantt chart, and I don't want to pressure anybody to also use it, because it works for me. But I'll maybe if because this is a TLET program, so it could work. I'll try it next time to see if the other students are interested. I'll ask if we can challenge our initial decisions so that we're more confident in making informed decisions. We want to avoid groupthink. We try to be very cognizant of everyone's time, etc. Okay. So, these are this is just for the group work, how I'm some strategies, right, for just one type of assessment. But I'm running out of time. So yes, passive listening. Most courses we engage in passive listening. And passive listening is when the listener is silently participating and shows no response to the speaker, and it's one-way communication, right? But in this class encouraged us to have active participation. There's so many tools that we can use, right? And yes, I know that this particular presentation that our instructor informed us, yes, we have to try to make it interactive. But I don't know how to make the presentation interactive if there's actually nobody there. So, but here are some tools, and I know we use Kahoot, we use Padlet. So here are some tools that at the end of your lectures you can add some engagement. So an online assessment tool, set up a set of questions used to conduct tests or exam. It doesn't have to be exact, little quizzes. Quizzes can be graded or non-graded. And so here are some types of tools to gauge students' performance. Here we have Kahoot. And yes, I love Kahoot. I've been using Kahoot now so much. And this is a game-based platform. And for social constructivism, it's free. It has a wide range of different tools. The next one is Socrative. And this one's another free tool. And so this one is for cognitivism and connectivism. And you can ask quick questions. You can get a summative assessment. You can even do a speed race game. The third one is Class Marker for quizzes, right? And so this one allows students to practice unlimited quizzes for free, audio, visual, infographic, and it grades, because you want to get that frequent feedback, right? And here, okay, Hot Potatoes, you might not have heard of this one. This one's a very fun one. And so Hot Potatoes has 6 applications. to create crossword puzzles and a lot of different types of quizzes rather than your standard multiple choice quiz. Another one is wiser.me to create interactive worksheets. So rather than just being interactive with your Google Docs, you have different kinds of worksheets. And here are my resources. All right.